This is a breaking news special report. The unthinkable just happened in Washington. If you look at what is happening on Capitol Hill right now, it does not look like business as usual. It looks like a mutiny. For the first time in his second term, Donald Trump didn't just hit a wall, he hit a revolt. It happened less than 3 hours ago. The gavel came down in the House of Representatives, and the sound echoed all the way to the White House. The vote wasn't even close. Well, it was close numerically, but politically, it was an earthquake. The United States Congress just stepped in to stop the President of the United States from waging an economic war on their closest neighbor. We are looking at a final tally of 219 to 211. In this hyper-partisan climate, getting 219 votes for anything is a battle, but tonight 219 members agreed that Trump's trade war with Canada was a suicide mission. 6 Republicans broke ranks. These aren't the usual never-Trumpers you see on cable news. We are talking about Representatives Kevin Kiley of California, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, Don Bacon of Nebraska, Dan Newhouse of Washington, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, and Jeff Hurd of Colorado. These are Republicans from deep red and purple districts. They looked at the polling in their home states. They looked at the price of gas and the cost of lumber, and they decided that angering Trump was safer than bankrupting their own voters. Trump tried to stop this. He tried to use the ultimate weapon, his grip on the party. Earlier today, as the vote was happening on the floor, he took to Truth Social and posted a stark warning. He said, and I quote, "Any Republican in the House or the Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time." He called tariffs a privilege that no Republican should be responsible for destroying. But the warning fell on deaf ears. The system is tired. The donors are tired. And today the House proved that they are tired of it too. Trump thought he had the leverage. He tried to corner his northern neighbor. For months, he has used Section 232, that's the National Security Clause, to do whatever he wants with trade. He wakes up, he decides he doesn't like a country, and he slaps a tax on them. He tried to do it to Canada repeatedly, threatening a 25% universal tariff on everything, and recently escalating to a staggering 100% tariff on Canadian goods if Ottawa dared to work with Beijing. He thought Canada would fold. He thought the mere mention of the word tariff would send them flying to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. But Mark Carney didn't blink. He didn't scream, he didn't rage tweet, he just quietly dismantled Trump's entire strategy from the inside out. You have to understand Carney's background to understand why he is winning this fight. He isn't a career politician in the traditional sense. He's a central banker. He ran the Bank of Canada. He ran the Bank of England. He deals in risk. He deals in systemic stability. He knows how the plumbing of the global economy works better than almost anyone alive. When Trump throws a tantrum, Carney looks at the bond market. Carney's strategy is completely different from what we are used to seeing. Most world leaders try to appease Trump, or they try to fight him with insults. Carney does neither. He uses leverage. Reports are coming in that for the last 72 hours, the Canadian Prime Minister's office has been on the phone with every major governor and member of Congress in the United States. They didn't threaten. They just showed the math. They showed what happens to the economy in Ohio, in Michigan, and Pennsylvania if that border closes. And the American politicians panicked. They realized Trump was about to drive the economy off a cliff, so they took the keys away. This is where the story gets deep. This wasn't just a political loss for Trump. It was an ideological defeat. Carney understood something very simple. The United States needs Canada just as much as Canada needs the United States, maybe more in certain sectors. He didn't fight like Trump fights. He didn't make this about ego. He made it about systems. Look at the war room photos emerging from Ottawa. They show Mark Carney sitting at a table with his trade ministers. Look at the table. It's covered in maps, not maps of Canada, but maps of U.S. congressional districts. They weren't planning a defense. They were targeting specific American voters. They identified exactly which U.S. districts would be hit hardest by a trade war, districts that Trump needs to win in the midterms. And they made sure those representatives knew exactly what was coming. This wasn't diplomacy. This was political warfare, and it worked. One GOP representative from Nebraska, Don Bacon, summed it up perfectly before the vote. He said, "As an old conservative, I know that tariffs are a tax on American consumers. We cannot and should not outsource our responsibility." He added that tariffs have been a net negative for the economy and are a significant tax that American consumers, manufacturers, and farmers are paying. That is the sound of fear, not fear of Trump, but fear of reality. The cameras caught Carney leaving a meeting just yesterday. A reporter asked him if he was worried about Trump's anger. Carney didn't even stop walking. He just adjusted his glasses and, recalling his recent tense phone call with the president, made it clear he wasn't backing down. He told Trump he meant what he said at Davos. He told Trump about Canada's plan to sign a dozen new trade deals across 4 continents in just 6 months, effectively diversifying away from the U.S. He reportedly said the math works for Canada, and he hoped the president checks his work. That is confidence. That is a man who knows he holds the winning hand. So why is this happening now? Why is Donald Trump, the man who remade the Republican Party in his image, suddenly unable to whip votes in his own Congress? Because he is losing control of the narrative. For years, Trump's superpower was his unpredictability. He calls it the madman theory. If everyone thinks you're crazy enough to burn the house down, they'll give you whatever you want just to save the furniture. It worked with Mexico. It worked to some extent with NATO. But it isn't working with Canada, and it definitely isn't working with Mark Carney. Here is the trap Trump set for himself. He escalates with threats. He threatens tariffs. He threatens to close the border. He threatens to tear up the USMCA. Usually the other side panics. They offer a token concession, and Trump declares victory. But this time, the world responded with silence, and then with action. When Trump threatened the 100% tariff, Carney didn't beg. He simply finalized a deal with China that allows 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into Canada annually, while Beijing agreed to slash tariffs on Canadian canola and seafood. He made it personal for the senators in farm states. Trump tried to double down. He went on Truth Social and said Canada was taking advantage of us and that they are among the worst in the world to deal with. He tried to rally his base, but the base is feeling the pinch. Inflation is still a concern. People are worried about their jobs. When Trump threatens a trade war with Canada, the country that buys more American goods than China, Japan, and the UK combined, voters don't see strength. They see risk. They see higher prices at the grocery store and the gas pump. This vote today saved your money, plain and simple. If those tariffs had stayed in place, the price of everything would have gone up. Lumber for building houses, up 20%. Gas at the pump, up. Groceries, up. Canada is the largest supplier of energy to the United States. You mess with that flow and you pay for it at the pump. But beyond the prices, this signals a massive shift in global leadership. For 70 years, the U.S. has been the leader, the indispensable nation. But when the U.S. president acts like a bully and the U.S. Congress has to step in to stop him, it shows a crack in the armor. It shows that the world doesn't trust American leadership right now. They trust American markets maybe, but they don't trust the White House. Canada just proved that you can say no to America and win. That is a dangerous lesson for the rest of the world to learn. If Canada can do it, why not Europe? Why not other nations? Trump wanted to show strength. Instead, he exposed a weakness. He showed that his power is not absolute. We are moving into a world where the U.S. is still big, but it's not the only voice in the room. And Mark Carney just grabbed the microphone. Now we have to be precise here. This fight isn't over, not by a long shot. While today's vote is historic, it is largely symbolic for now. The resolution still has to go to the Senate, and even if it passes there, it lands on President Trump's desk, where he will almost certainly veto it. This was a shot across the bow, not a kill shot. But the symbolism is the story. It proves the votes are there. It proves that Republicans are willing to defect. Trump is furious. His social media feed is lighting up with attacks on the senators and representatives who voted against him. He is calling for primaries. He is threatening to defund projects in their states. He is wounded, and a wounded political animal is dangerous. Carney knows this. That's why the Canadian military is still on high alert regarding the border. That's why the trade war rooms in Ottawa aren't celebrating yet. They know the first wave is over, but the storm is still spinning. You need to be prepared for more volatility. Trump could order extreme vetting at the border. He could slow down trucks for safety inspections. He can still make life miserable for cross-border trade without technically violating the spirit of today's vote. The world changed today. It didn't change with a bang or an explosion. It changed with a vote. Congress drew a line in the sand. They chose economic stability over political loyalty. And Mark Carney proved that you don't need to be the biggest superpower to win a fight. You just need to be the smartest. Trump is down, but he is never out. The next few weeks are going to be a test of the American system like we have never seen before. We want to hear from you. Do you think Congress made the right call protecting the economy, or did they betray the president? And do you think Carney is protecting Canada, or is he daring Trump to do something even more drastic? Drop your take in the comments below. This conversation is just getting started. And if you want to know what happens when the border slows down tomorrow, you need to stay with us because the headlines are too slow to keep up with this. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe my channel for daily updates.